My stepfather treated me abhorrently when I was a child, and I resolved that when I became a father myself, I would never let my children experience such pain. But when my son started to portray grotesque, horrifying behavior, I got physical with him, and now he's scared to be around me. Posted by you/Deathly Desiderium. I have failed as a father. When my son was younger, he was the sweetest boy. Kind-hearted, thoughtful, the type of kid who would run up to you with a smile so pure it could light up a room. I'd promised myself that he would never experience the kind of childhood I had. No fear. No abuse. No walking on eggshells, terrified of the next angry outburst. But things changed over the past few years. He started acting out, small things like skipping school, lying, and sneaking out. I thought it was just normal teenage rebellion. I tried to be patient and understanding. I told myself that kids go through phases, and that this was just his way of testing boundaries. I didn't want to be too harsh. I didn't want to become the monster I grew up with. I thought if I showed him love, he'd come back to the boy I knew. The boy I raised. Yesterday he came up to me asking me for over $1,000. He had gotten his girlfriend pregnant and needed money for a termination. This was, of course, a huge shock, but I knew that it was my role as a father to be supportive. I agreed, but I explained to him that a termination didn't cost that much money. That's when he told me that the money wasn't just for the termination, it was to convince his girlfriend to get the termination in the first place. She refused to terminate the pregnancy due to her religious beliefs, and my son thought that if I just gave her enough money, I could somehow change her mind. I couldn't believe that the son I raised had turned into someone who thought that he could use money to control someone else's body. We got into a huge, screaming match of an argument, and he stormed off to his room. I have been looking after a boy my son's age for nearly a decade. It's a complicated situation, but he's a relative who's been living with us most of the time due to some family issues. I haven't officially adopted him, but I consider him a second son. He heard us arguing and confided in me. He told me all about what my son was really like at school, how he was known as a bully who tormented other students, especially kids who were LGBT, or mentally disabled, or came from poor families. The worst part was that he even bullied his own adopted brother. He taunted him for the trauma he'd experienced in his childhood. The same trauma that I'd experienced in mine. I was furious. Devastated. Because I was so afraid of becoming my stepfather, I let my son walk all over me, over his brother, over everyone. I confronted him. I wanted to give him one last chance to show some remorse. But he didn't. He just stared at me, defiant, even smug. No apology. No regret. No understanding of the pain he'd caused. He owned up to everything and doubled down on it, saying he was just having fun. Then he made an awful remark about my adopted son asking for everything that happened to him. And in that moment, something inside me broke. I redacted him. Even writing those words makes me sick. I redacted my son. And then I redacted him again and again and again. I swore I'd never be like my stepfather, that I'd never lay a hand on my children. But in that moment, I lost control. I lost everything. As soon as I redacted him, the look in his eyes changed. It was the same look of fear I used to have when I was a child, when my stepfather's anger turned into violence. I only stopped because I noticed that he was bleeding. I snapped out of my rage, but it was too late. He actually effing flinched when I tried to tend to his injury. My own child is afraid of me. My wife and daughters saw everything, and they haven't talked to me since. How do you make amends for something like this? How do you forgive yourself when you've done the very thing you swore you'd never do? How do you look your children in the eyes when you've become the person you always feared you'd be? My stepfather used to tell me that, once I reached his age, I would see things from his point of view, and I would understand why he did everything that he did to me. I did everything I could to make sure I didn't turn into him. As my son grew up, I thought I'd finally broken the cycle. When I found out what my son had done, I wondered if maybe I hadn't broken the cycle after all. Maybe it just skipped a generation. I had this subconscious belief that maybe if I just redacted him hard enough, I could somehow redacted the wrongdoing out of him. And all this did was turn me into the very thing I hated most in this world. I can't help but wonder if my stepfather was also in my position once. Did he also swear not to become his father? Until I pushed things too far, and he had no choice but to put me back on the right path using the only way of parenting he'd been exposed to? Was he also horrified by his own actions at first? How many more times did he redacted me before he embraced becoming the type of man who abused his own child? I just hope my son will forgive me one day. But I can never forgive myself. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. I will not say it was not wrong what you did, because it was. And you should seek help for your unresolved trauma and your rage issue, if it is one. I am no psychologist, but I think the double blow you took, your son trying to buy his girlfriend and the accusation of him being a bully and a really bad guy, brought your childhood trauma back up. But today you are an adult and can defend yourself. Maybe it is a kind of PTSD. Second, You should check on both issues. The pregnancy, talk to the girlfriend. If her parents know, stick your heads together on how to help. But first, talk to the girl. It is her call to inform her family, not yours. Support her. Third, clear up if the accusations are true. Tell your adoptive son you believe him, but you have to verify. Maybe talk to your daughters too. There might be more. I hope not, but seek professional help, and talk to your wife about all this. Regarding your son. Wow. Only the handling of the pregnancy. What a jerk. Ops response. You're right. I know I need help. I swear I'm not a violent man. I won't lie and say I wasn't furious when I found out about the termination bribery, but finding out about the bullying on top of all that was the breaking point. Maybe it is a form of PTSD, or maybe it's just years of bottled up anger I never truly dealt with. Whatever it is, I need to confront it. My adopted son did show me proof in the first place. He had screenshots of social media posts, text messages, even some photos and videos. Usually, I would have tried to give him the benefit of the doubt and verify things first, but seeing all this evidence just further cemented the realization of my son going down the wrong path. You're also right about my son's girlfriend. I can't imagine what she's feeling. I can't imagine that my own son would do something like that to her. I'll make sure to talk to her first, instead of going directly to her family. But I have a lot on my plate for now, and I don't think I'm ready to deal with this immediately. What I'm worried about is talking to my ex, the mother of my son. She hasn't been very active in his life, but she holds a lot of love for him, and I hate to think about how she would react to finding out about what I did to our child. I'll have to talk to my daughters too, reassure them that I would never dream about, redacted, them. Although, what are the chances they'll believe that? If I was in their position, I definitely wouldn't. The youngest is only 7. How do you explain to a 7-year-old why her daddy, redacted, up her brother until he bled? You've given me a lot to think about. I need to talk to my wife, I need to talk to all my kids, and I need to seek professional help for all of us. I'm terrified of what I'll uncover, but it's better than letting things keep festering in the dark. I just hope it's not too late to fix the damage I've done. Update 1 year later. My son ran away, to live with my stepfather. I can't believe I'm writing this. I had everything under control. I apologized to my youngest son, and I promised to be a better father. I told him everything about my childhood, about the fear, the abuse, and the nights I spent hiding in my room because I was just that afraid of my stepfather. I told him how badly I wanted to protect him from all of it, and how ashamed I was that in the end I'd repeated the same pattern. Against all odds, he forgave me. I talked to my ex, my son's mother, and I couldn't be more grateful for her help. We may not have had the perfect relationship, but she truly loves that boy, and her talking to him had a huge part in him forgiving me. He admitted that he'd been wrong and needed to apologize to his brother, to his girlfriend, and the kids at school he'd hurt. And one by one, he did. His girlfriend accepted his apology and decided to stay with him, and I talked to her parents about raising the baby. Things went surprisingly well, and they were extremely supportive. We agreed to split childcare 50-50 at their home and ours. When the baby was born, something in all of us changed. Holding my granddaughter for the first time felt like life was giving me another chance. My son stepped up too. He wasn't perfect, but he was trying. We both started going to therapy. We rebuilt trust, little by little. Things were looking up. 2 days ago, I heard my sons arguing about something I don't even remember. I tried to defuse the situation, but neither of them were listening to me. Then my youngest son started repeatedly, redacted, his brother, who just stood there and took the punches while attempting to shield himself. The only thing I could think of was the way my stepfather would, redacted, me, and the way I'd stand there helplessly cowering in fear, just praying that someone would step up and defend me. When I looked at my son, the only face I saw was that of my stepfather. I broke our promise and, redacted, him again. He froze when I, redacted, him, and I should have stopped there, but I didn't. Whatever evil within me that made me lose control the first time took a hold of me again, and I couldn't stop, redacted, him. He stepped backwards, lost his balance, and fell into a side table and crashed face first into a glass vase. He didn't cry the first time I, redacted, him, but this time he was sobbing and begging me not to hurt him. The sight of him broken and afraid made me want to crawl out of my own skin. I called an ambulance and told him I was prepared to take full responsibility if he were to report me, since I understood full well why he wouldn't feel safe around me anymore. But when they asked what happened, he lied and said it was an accident. He lied to protect me even after I hurt him so badly, just like I lied to protect my stepfather because I'd Stockholm syndromed myself into thinking he was the only person who would ever love me. Yesterday, while I was at work, I received a message from my wife saying that my son had texted her, saying that he'd packed his things and moved in with my stepfather. I don't even know how to breathe right now. My own son is now living with the same man who taught me fear. I spent my son's entire life protecting him from trauma like I'd experienced, only to send him straight back into his arms. I can't even tell him I'm sorry in a way that matters anymore. I swore to protect him from men like my stepfather, And now my stepfather is protecting him from me. It's almost like some twisted Greek tragedy. I'm an awful person. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. You have written this as though, redacted, your youngest son was the only option to defend your oldest son. It wasn't. Hey, cut that out. Youngest, go to your room, both probably would have had the desired effect. Inserting yourself between the two of them would have had the desired effect. Lifting or pulling one of them out of the situation would have had the desired effect. Your youngest son needs therapy. You need therapy, and your oldest son probably also needs therapy. All for different reasons, but all because of the generational trauma in your lineage. Work on yourself and help your oldest son. Let your youngest son cool off. Then offer him therapy, even if he stays at your stepdad's. Tell your youngest son that he is welcome home when he wants to come home, that you want to apologize to him, and that he must apologize to his brother. Commenter 2. And now you have taught your son fear, and one day, he will probably do this to his child. The tragedy of mankind is that we echo our evolutionary history while thinking we're above it. The same patterns repeat themselves, and because we think we are in control of our actions, we moralize everything and split people into good and bad or worthy and unworthy. Of what, exactly? Attention? Adoration? Love? Divine acceptance? The psychology here is more simple than you think, and these kinds of incidents are quite preventable. This is a failure of our collective species. Please don't think you are uniquely horrible. Control is the key. You have to abandon it. You don't need to be strong, he's not going to hurt you. You aren't a child anymore. You don't need to exert control over other people. Ever.